Evening, everyone. Newcastle United won back-to-back games in the week against Everton, 3-1, brilliant win. And just here to discuss that and obviously talk about the Villa game that's coming up as well. So, evening, Dad. How are you?
Well, son, you all right?
I'm good, yeah.
I'm still buzzing from Tuesday night, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. It was really good. Really enjoyable.
Time for it, haven't we?
Yeah, and I think Tuesday night just felt, certainly the second half, it just felt like it was our night. Like I never really, once we got ahead, I never really felt particularly worried that we weren't going to hang on or anything like that. We were pretty comfortable.
We've often talked on here, haven't we, about us not dominating a football match or not controlling it. But second half, I thought we actually did that. I thought we were in control, and obviously getting that second goal just at the half time, set us away. But the nerves would have been shredded had we not got the third goal. That last 20 minutes might have been a bit more difficult to take, but to get the luxury of a 2-goal lead was just lovely, which has been so long since we had that delight, and it could have been more by the end.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, we set a lot of firsts, didn't we? In that game, we had the first win from behind. We had the first win by more than one goal. We had the first lead by more than one goal. We had the first back-to-back wins of the season. So overall, just really, really good.
And the first time we've scored more than one goal in a game since Brentford.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. That kind of
how long ago was Brentford? It seems like a different era.
It was a while ago, wasn't it? Anyway, we've got a few people here already. So evening, Neil. Evening, Morgul.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening, Mark. Nice to have you all with us. Obviously, just there's so much to talk about the match. Obviously, the most important thing really is that it leaves us in a good place in the league. That's the league table now, and that's after last night's matches. So obviously Norwich only drew with Palace, which I think was a really, really good result for us, because not only did it mean Norwich stayed below us, it also means that Crystal Palace are not out of sight of us yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think on the when they scored very early on, and they were obviously 1-0 up, I thought, oh, here we go. We were right back in the relegation zone at that point. So I was happy when Palace scored. But did you see Zaha's missed penalty?
I did, yeah. It was.
He's funny, to be fair to the lad. His left foot went, didn't it, as he approached?
He did.
But it was a good result. I mean, draws in this sense, are not bad for us when teams are relatively close to us.
Yeah, 100%. And I just looking at the table, I think obviously Everton are right in a relegation battle, but and Leeds got a good point last night, and they've got coming back. But look at Brentford's form. They've got the worst form out of anyone in the bottom half of the table, and I think, you never know what will happen. They might go on a run, but I really feel like one of those teams at least will come towards us. We will get closer to at least one of them. I fancy Brentford possibly to be that team. I don't think Villa and Leicester really have anything too much to worry about. But
no, I don't think so. It's funny, isn't it? I was telling you about the article in the Athletic, which had gone through every fixture with all the teams at the bottom and had analysed their strengths, their weaknesses, their market. It was quite a long article, and it was quite detailed. And in the end, they ended up with us being relegated along with Norwich and Watford, I think. And we said as we were walking down the hill, didn't we? We said, the thing is, well, we all might as well go home if you can play football on a computer, because it's not real. It's not real, is it? And there's always, again, we've said this on previous weeks, there is always a team from mid-table drops like a stone in the second half of the season. And I think you're right. I think Brentford could be that team. Although I haven't watched Everton in that second half. I think they've got a bit of work to do to get themselves out of this predicament as well. So It just means there's more teams in there, doesn't it? And that makes it, much more sort of close. And it's ultimately, it's down to us, isn't it? And I think we have the momentum going the other way now, I think. But
yeah, well, this is it. I was sort of reading some quotes from I think it was, I don't know if it's Trippier or Lascelles actually, but basically they were saying, you know, we're only 8 points off whatever position it is, like 12th or whatever it is, and it's like they're now sort of, it might have even been Eddie Howe actually, that the question that was put to him, you know, it's now we're kind of seemingly turning things round. We can actually look up, and you know, rather than looking down, can we look up? I know we sort of can't do that in a sense, but I love the idea of that.
Well, there's a huge game at Goodison Park on Saturday, isn't there? Because Everton play Leeds, and you know, in the way the fixtures have gone this week, you wouldn't be surprised if Leeds won that, to be fair. But again, a really good result for us would be a draw, wouldn't it? Because
another draw would be perfect for us, and obviously we'll come on to the Villa game in a bit. But you know, if we can back up this win with, I mean, imagine if we win 3 in a row, what that would do for us would be incredible. A few more people join us this evening: Paul, Connor, Stephen. I think we are both well, Paul. Obviously happier after Tuesday night, which is always good. And
I mean, Tuesday night was just such a fantastic occasion, wasn't it? I mean, you know, it was scrappy first half. I said it was a typical Everton game that we seem to have against them, because it's always been a bit of a tussle, hasn't it? Always a bit dirty.
They're always annoying. They're always physical, aren't they, Everton?
Always. And I think we thought, you know, in the ground at the time, we thought Shelby was unlucky to be booked, but actually, when you see it back, I think he was lucky not to get a red.
Yeah, well, actually, from our angle in the Gallagher end, it looked like a really good tackle. But what we didn't see was his left leg coming around the other side of him, which was obviously the other side of us. Yeah. So that's why we thought in the stadium, for me, it looked like a really good tackle. But obviously, when you see it on TV, it was a scissor tackle. He was a bit lucky.
So maybe we got a bit of
that said, I mean, I have seen plenty of players get away with those type of tackles.
Yeah,
I've also seen players get sent off. So it just depends on the referee, really.
But then, I mean, to then obviously, you know, get the goal against her, which was such a fluky goal. I mean, it was just unfortunate, wasn't it? But the good thing and the great thing was the fact that we just responded straight away. And ironically, an own goal with the same two players involved, you know.
Yeah. Well, again, at the time, obviously we scored at the Leazes end, we were in the Gallagher end, and we hadn't realised it was an own goal. It just looked like Lascelles had headed it in, and I was saying to you, it must be some sort of record between a player scoring an own goal and scoring an actual goal. And as it turned out, it was a record, but it wasn't the record we thought it might be. It was actually in the Premier League history, at least, it was the shortest time between two own goals. Yeah, which so we did see a bit of history on Tuesday night as well. Mark is, you know, he predicted that Eddie would keep us in touch with 17th, and with a bit of quality, we'd pull away. It feels like my job. So that's good. And really, Mark, we were saying, weren't we, for so long during November, December, even October, when the takeover happened, you know, it's all about keeping in touch.
That's right.
Keeping in touch until
it's interesting though. But I was listening to Sean Dyche's interview on that 5 Live as I was coming home from the game, and he was saying the same about Burnley. I mean, they've won only one game all season.
Yeah,
but yet they still feel they're in touch with.
But they've only lost 8. Yeah,
and it's been a strange season. I mean, in that respect, hasn't it? There's been a lot of draws. I don't know if we're above the average number of draws for a season, but it just seems that way, doesn't it? That there's a lot of 1 point for each team rather than lots of threes.
Yeah, which is why if you win, it's just massive. Because
2 wins in a row now have just taken us obviously from 12 to 18 points in 2 games. I mean, it took us, how many games to get 12 points, and now we've getting half that many again just in 2 games, and it's just massive. It's just huge. And what it does to confidence is, and we're unbeaten in 4 games, remember, as well now. So in
the league, we're actually in a little bit of form now. So, it's good. I mean, this message from Morgul, I hadn't realised this until today. I saw this on Twitter myself today. Like, I can't believe that's true, but it is true. Villa haven't won at St James's Park since that infamous game where Boya Dyer had a fight and Stephen Taylor got shot.
Didn't we play Villa early on when we got promoted the first time round on that year when Andy Carroll scored?
We did. We beat them like 6-1. Was it 6-1? Yeah, 6-0, 6-1. First game of the season, wasn't it? First home game.
Yeah,
and we battered them. Yeah, it was when we came back up the first time. So yeah, absolutely great. Blakey fancies us to beat Villa. We have momentum, and the players are full of confidence. Kind of just going back to what you were saying. You know, I was saying before the Everton game that really, you know, looking at these two games, Everton and Villa, I think it's important that we take 4 points from those two games. But I really, really wanted us to beat Everton because I think it like obviously beating Villa would be great, but I think getting the win against Everton does give us the momentum and the confidence, and it feels like a moment. It feels like a big, like almost like a turning point in the season has happened.
And judging by the way Leeds got at their defence last night, then I think their defence is no great shakes either, is it? From all accounts. So
yeah,
you know.
I think as soon as we started attacking Everton's defence, of course, we had joy because you know you've got to attack the bad defences in the league. So Neil says, "What do you think of the reported bust-up between Joe Linton and Dele Alli?" I only heard about this hours ago. Actually, I don't know how true it is. I don't know what it is, but apparently there was some sort of moment towards the end of the game or at the end of the game, and then it carried on into the tunnel. So I don't know. I mean, what I would say is, I said this to you as we were walking out of the ground actually the other night. I'm really pleased we didn't sign Dele Alli. And I don't rate him. I never have rated him. I thought he was overrated at Tottenham, and I know he came on as a substitute, but he really did nothing in the game.
The thing with Dele Alli, I mean, I tend to agree. I mean, we've had this conversation in the past years, haven't we? But I do think he's not played a lot of football. He's thrown into a game like that.
That's true.
Because he was on the bench, and of course they had an injury, didn't they? And they had to bring him on. But I just don't think he was anywhere near the pace and the physicality of that particular match. And I think I don't feel that we missed out on getting Dele Alli, far from it. So but that's the first I've heard of any bust-up. I must confess. I don't know what's happened there.
Yeah, I think it'll be something of nothing. I think these things happen more often than you realise during. Tensions are high, emotions run high. It was a physical game. You know, there's a lot on the line, and if you're frustrated, things happen. It won't be anything more than that, really.
Yeah. Well, going back to the match on Tuesday, I mean, we got to half time, didn't we, at 1-1, and then the second half. I mean, and Saint-Maximin was brilliant with that run. That whole move actually for the second goal. When you watch it again, how it started over on the down the wing. And then, I mean, there was a ball by, I think it was Willock. He switched it back inside. And then we switched it out to the left, didn't we? To the left. And then, obviously, Joe Linton then played Maxi. And he went past the fullback. But what was brilliant was the way he crossed it. He sort of scooped it up. I thought it was brilliant at the time when I saw it. And then, of course, Fraser gets on. Actually, do you know, when I saw it on the telly, I honestly thought Fraser was nearer the goal when he scored.
Yeah.
And actually, when I saw back on the
6 yards out, wasn't he? But just talking about Saint-Maximin, I mean, I love the guy. I think he's great. He's got all the talent in the world, and I want him in the team. I want him to stay at Newcastle for a long time. My criticism of him is end product. Like, now this graphic on the screen shows that.
What's this?
So this graphic is basically just shows that he's the fifth. He attempts the fifth most dribbles in world football, basically. So there's only four players ahead of him who try more. Now, that in itself is what it is. You can dribble all day long, and you've got to have end products. And the criticism for me about Saint-Maximin is he's exciting to watch. He gets you off your feet. He's impossible to play against almost at times. But does he have enough end product? Like on Tuesday night in the second half, I really feel like he turned it on, and he was assisting and he was creating chances, and he could have easily ended up with 2 or 3 assists. And
easily, yeah. I think the thing with them is
that's what we need more. We want this. Like what I'm saying is this a turning point for him? Is this the moment where he now plays like this and goes on a run of good performances like that?
Well, you would like to think so, but I mean, I think the thing that, and again, we talked about this, wasn't it? I think with better players in our team, he will play further forward. And what happened in the second half is he was playing a little bit further forward than we've been used to him. I mean, instead of dribbling around his own penalty area and losing the ball in dangerous situations, he was starting at least 10 yards further forward when he got the ball. And then they couldn't cope with him. I mean, he just got this ability to, and again, we talked about, didn't we? How does he run so quick with a ball like glued to his feet? And they can't stop him. The only way teams seem to be able to stop him is foul him. And that's what happens. How many free kicks has he won us this season? I mean, it must be high up in the list of the most foul
he must be one of the most foul players in the league. He has to be. He's constantly being hacked down because people don't know which way he's going, and then they just bring him down, or they deliberately just bring him down because they're worried about him getting past him. It's great to have that kind of weapon in the team, and I think I agree with you.
Though, isn't it? I mean, for all the faults, he's a player that gets you out of your seat. Isn't he? He's a player that when he gets the ball in full flight, it's tremendous. And as I've said, defenders kind of cope with him other than by fouling him. And he gets us free kicks. He gets us up the pitch. And now on Tuesday in that second half, I thought, as you say, and he actually created 3 or 4 really good opportunities. That one at the end when you were screaming for him to pass it across to Chris Wood, who was literally standing on the penalty spot waiting. Yeah, I think he should have done that. But he was just magical.
He was great,
and it was great to watch. But what it'll do, and as we get better players into the team, then teams will have more to worry about than just Saint-Maximin, because we will become a team that will have threats from all areas. And that's got to be good to look forward to, hasn't it? Really,
without a doubt, he's quality. George saying Saint-Maximin will get better as more and more quality players are signed, and this is what the hope is for Saint-Maximin, is that he does become the player we all want him to be. As better players come into the squad, and you can see him doing it. Like, he's got all the ability in the world to be a top player in Europe. And I sort of go back to Ronaldo at Man United under Ferguson, and I think when he came to Man United as a young lad, Ferguson sort of battered it out of him to stop being a show pony. Essentially, I'm not saying Saint-Maximin is that, but. And I'm not saying Saint-Maximin's as good as Ronaldo or will ever be as good as Ronaldo. But what I am saying is it can be done. You can train play. If you've got the talent, you can't train the talent, but you can train the way you use that talent. And I think if Maximin wants to maximise his talent, he needs some good coaching in order to do that. But better players around him will obviously help.
Clearly. I think the other person I would say a big... plus 2 on Tuesday night was Lascelles. He's come in for a lot of criticism from a lot of people. And I see it all the time on different channels and on Twitter. He shouldn't be in the team, and we perhaps indicated that at times ourselves. But to be fair, the lad, he's obviously very respected in that dressing room. He's very vocal, and I think playing with better players as well will bring the best out of Lascelles. And on Tuesday, I thought he had a really good game. I mean, he got us back into the game with the header. I mean, it was a great corner as well. But I just think he played well. And Shaw, apart from one ridiculous moment in the first half, he just let the ball run and he didn't decide to go for it. Had a really good game as well.
I don't know what he was doing there. He was on his 18-yard line and just left the ball. And then I don't know who it was, but was it Richarlison had a shot, but thankfully hit it wide. But apart from that, he did look. I sort of said it in the last stream. I don't think Lascelles will be there if we stay up, Lascelles will probably not be there next season. He might be as a backup. He certainly won't be a first team regular next season. But we have who we have still. You know, we've still got to get behind the players we do have. And if we can get another 4 months of decent performances out of Lascelles, then that's, you know, that'll be good for Newcastle United at the end of the day. And we should all be hoping that he does well. But yeah, look, we're going to come up against better teams than Everton as well. But yeah, you can't fault. You can only play against who's in front of you. And, you know, we did defend well.
We do say that we're going to come again. But I mean, before the match, we were all a bit worried that Everton would be, you know, a new manager in. They played 4-1 at the weekend. And you thought, oh, man, they've got some decent players, Everton. They're just underperforming woefully, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
But again, you know, I mean, Target, again, he was another solid.
I was really impressed with him.
He was really good.
Nothing fancy, but just really good defensive play and positional play. And it just makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Just having someone that looks like they know what they're doing.
The sad thing is he can't play against Villa, of course, on Sunday.
Yeah.
Because
that's true.
The loan system.
Yeah,
a bit of a pity. And of course, Trippier. I mean, we haven't mentioned Trippier yet. I mean, that free kick was just the thing of sheer beauty, wasn't it? I mean, and it was great at the time, but when you actually see it from 20 different angles, I mean, it was just magnificent.
Just before we talk about Trippier, then Neil posted this, which I think I've not seen this, but this is interesting. So since Eddie Howe took charge, Burnley have only picked up 5 points. Everton have only picked up 5 points. Watford have only picked up 6 points.
Yeah.
We've now picked up 13. So that just shows it feels like something is building here, and we have to keep that momentum going. But that's a positive stat.
Yeah, I saw that stat the other day, and it's interesting though, isn't it? We've taken 13 points, but actually 6 of them have come in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were on a level pegging, which is why we were in touch with them.
Yeah.
But then those 6 points have just propelled us out of the relegation zone. So, you know, it's looking, it's starting to look, a bit more healthy, isn't it?
Yeah. Evening, Peter. Nice of you to join us. Thanks for being here. Yeah, all is good here, and an absolutely brilliant win, as you said. So fantastic. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, does anyone know about the situation with Trippier's injury? Was it cramp or is it?
Well, I was listening to the True Faith podcast with, the one with George Colton and Chris Waffa and that was, and they were talking to Chris, and he said that nobody sort of mentioned it after the game, other than obviously Trippier came off. He thinks it's maybe some sort of muscular problem, but it's not serious. Otherwise, we'd heard more. But he seemed to doubt whether Trippier would start on Sunday because they might want to risk him, which would be a shame, really, because we're going to the game without the 2 fullbacks who've been a big part of why the defences look better. So we'll just have to see. But I don't know. It's touch and go, I guess. But we'll definitely be without Target because he can't play.
Yeah, he can't play.
That Trippier won't be starting either.
Just having, I mean, may as well bring this in now, talking about Trippier and obviously just talking about Lascelles. Maybe it's premature to have this conversation, but I just feel like, you know, for me, Kieran Trippier feels like he'll be the next captain of
That's a brilliant picture, by the way, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't take it myself.
Well, but miraculous if you did from that angle.
Yeah. He just seems like he's got everything you want in a captain, and he's got the quality as well. And like I said, I don't wish any bad or harm or anything for Lascelles. If he leaves the club, I'll wish him luck wherever he goes. But for me, Trippier's attitude and it kind of, he just sort of summed it up when you see when we conceded the goal. He just he picked 2 defenders up out of the back of the net. Got everyone. He was rallying the team. He didn't let his head drop. He was like,
it's his attitude, isn't it? It's that mental strength, isn't it? To just get up let's go. And I mean, people were saying, Lascelles should be he should be captain now, but he's not going to be captain now. He's going to be there till the end of the season, Lascelles as captain, and quite rightly, in my view. But I think Trippier has got a strong possibility that Trippier will be my next club captain.
I've just been so impressed with him since he's come in.
He's been brilliant, and actually, if you saw his interview afterwards, it was superb. But what's also was really lovely was the interview with Ryan Fraser. I don't know if you saw that, Ian, but where he was talking about shanking the ball into the net. The rapport between Trippier and Fraser is just brilliant. I mean, Fraser has been revitalised in the last few games, hasn't he? And that's great, but yeah, I think in the long term, certainly probably the summer, Trippier could well be the club captain. As he says, he won't act quickly because he's man.
There's no point actually, and also Connor just makes a really good point there, saying he's basically out there acting like a captain already, and that's having the armband on doesn't matter in a sense. If you've
I remember a conversation a few years back, and they were talking, I think it was in the early 2000s when Gerrard and Lampard were about, and so was Ferdinand in the England team. And somebody was talking about, and this bit issue of club, the England captain was brought up, and I think it was Jimmy Armfield or somebody said, they're all captains. They're all captains of their own club. And when they get to play for England, it doesn't really matter because all they're doing is shaking hands and deciding, which way to kick. Because actually they're good enough players in their own right to be captains on the pitch. And you can only have one captain actually with the armband, but good players will be captains by the way they go about the business.
Well, I'm just thinking back to like the Shearer age when Shearer was the captain, but you think you had Gary Speed on the pitch.
Yeah.
Exactly. He wasn't the captain, but flipping heck, he led the team,
Yeah. It's about that vocal and that it's just about what you do, isn't it? And as you say, Trippier just getting the ball back or dragging the players out the back of the net and just saying, come on. And it's just those things which you get the feeling he's making this impression in the dressing room. And it's just brilliant. It's just fantastic to see.
Well, one of the things we were talking about a couple of weeks ago was like who are the leaders in the squad? Like who is leading the squad? And we didn't really have many people. We talked a little bit about Matt Ritchie, maybe just because he shouts a bit. But like Trippier,
there's no doubt in previous seasons Matt Ritchie was a vital force for us on the pitch. When he wasn't in the side, we noticed because he by his attitude. But he's nowhere near the player that Trippier is. I mean, and the thing is, Lascelles at times can be a good captain, but when his confidence is suffering and we're conceding goals, then and he hasn't got good players around him, then it's more difficult, isn't it? But I think, I mean, it's early days for Trippier for that statement, but actually, it's just it could be, when we look back on this time, Trippier coming in as the first signing, it could be the most important thing that ever happened because it was the thing that actually was the start of the ball and the momentum swinging back in our favour. Yeah.
And I can't remember who said it, but they were saying like, it might have been in the Athletic actually, Trippier's kind of like, he's a statement signing, but he's not. It wasn't. It might have been George Colkin actually on the podcast saying he's not a Robinho or he's not a whatever, but he's a statement signing. But he's also just quality and reserved and a step up and a level above what we really should have in the position we're in.
Yeah, a quality player in his own right, but a good leader as well, quite clearly on the pitch. I mean, I've seen lots of comments from fans of other clubs saying, "How the hell have Newcastle signed Trippier? Why has he gone there? He's only gone for the money." And well, some of them say that, a lot of them just wish him well. But the fact is, he decided he could see the potential of what's happening here because he knows that if we can stay in this division, then we've been excited by the signings in January. It'll be different again in the summer.
You've also got to think about where Trippier is in his career. So he's 31, and he could have come back and played for, I don't know, he could have come back and signed for Everton or some other kind of Leicester or like a mid-table team, but he's only probably got 3 or 4 years left at the top. So why not take a chance on the team that might actually do something in the next 3 or 4 years? Take a gamble and see your top level career out at a club who might finish on the highest of all highs. You know.
Did you see? Did you hear his comments about the ground, about the support in the ground, the noise and the atmosphere? He just in his interview after the game, he's saying he's played it lots of it, and he said, "I'm not just saying this, but this is the best I've ever known." It was just absolutely incredible, and that's a team, in a relegation place in the division with 2 wins behind all season, and I mean the atmosphere in the ground since Eddie Howe came in, and obviously since the takeover, has just been amazing. Apart from probably the Watford game was probably and maybe the Cambridge, but that was a different sort of crowd anyway. But what the flags on Tuesday night and the atmosphere that's generated was just unbelievable. It's just
the atmosphere is brilliant. Yeah,
incredible. And there's very little getting on the backs of the players now. There's because we're all united and we can see what's happening.
Yeah, there's harmony between the stands and the dugout. So something that hasn't been there since. Okay, we had it briefly when Rafa was here.
Yeah,
but really, there's been a lot of over the 14 years of Ashley. There was a lot of the Houghton. Fair enough, Houghton had the crowd. Rafa had the crowd, but apart from that, it was very much.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just your mum coming in from us singing.
Yeah, that's all right. Look, apart from that, it's been disconnect between the bench and the crowd, and no more so than the last manager. So what I love Stephen saying here, the most important thing Eddie is installing into the team is that we're all in it together. It's not over till it's over. And someone also mentioned earlier that the visible rise of the fitness levels has been huge. Like
definitely,
we're actually just finishing games strongly, which we weren't doing under Bruce.
I think the way we played against Everton was similar to the way we played against Manchester United. We were about them all game. We didn't let them, settle. And that we sustained that for a long time in that match. I know we said before the first half was a bit scrappy, and of course we had the hilarity of Jordan short arms in goal, wasn't it? I mean, it's just the dog's abuse he gets, and the dinosaur costumes and inflatable dinosaurs. It's
brilliant.
And George Colkin was talking on the podcast today, and he was saying he just kind of cope with it, It's like something goes in his brain.
Every time he plays at St James's, he just can't get on top of it, can he? But it's pretty funny. So anyway, let's look ahead to the next match. So Villa. First of all, we've sort of discussed this a little bit, but do you expect Howe to stick with the same team? Or will Bruno make the starting 11? Obviously, we talked about the fullback situation. So we know Target won't play. We think Trippier may or may not. We don't know yet. We'll find out more closer to Sunday. Apart from that, what do you reckon? Do you think he'll throw Bruno in from the start, or do you think he'll give Bruno half an hour at the end?
I'm not so sure he will start him, I think, and in a way, it depends on the fitness of the 3 lads in midfield, because in a way, they all played well on Tuesday.
Do you need something better though against going up against?
We do, and perhaps that may sway him. I don't know. I think it could go either way. You can make a case for him. It depends how he's reacted. I mean, like you say, he's come from a different league. He's come from the competition. He's come in. Personal point of view, of course, we like to see him start, because in the 6 minutes that he was on the pitch, he gave us enough of a cameo to realise that we've got a player.
He was great. He was only on for 6 minutes, but he was brilliant. That little back heel he did in the strawberry corner was just. I mean, doing something like that just shows he's a different level to what we've had for absolutely years.
So to answer that question, I'm 50-50 on it. Part of me thinks I want to see Bruno in the 11, but I'm not convinced that he will. I think he might just start with the same midfield. The problem is it won't be the same team, because, like I said before, Target definitely can't play. So we've got to bring in somebody at fullback. Probably Manquillo will come in. and Burn him or Burn. And if Trippier isn't fit and he might not start, then you've got Burn probably in the other position, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I think fingers crossed Trippier is fit. I really hope he can make it. But that would obviously leave the left back position open. I think Manquillo.
Interesting enough, we haven't talked about Willock, but I mean, first half he was in and out like a lot of the team were.
To be fair, but until they scored, the whole team wasn't playing that well.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's worth saying that we finished the game well, and we finished the end of the first half well, but for half an hour or 35 minutes, we weren't actually playing that well. We created nothing. We created nothing for 35 minutes.
I think it'll be a very different. It will be a very different type of game on Sunday. I guess I'm expecting not to be quite as physical as it was against Everton for a start. Yeah. And they've got some good players, and they've been playing well, Aston Villa, haven't they? And obviously their Brazilian, what's his name, Firmino has come in, hasn't he? And he's a good player. So it'll be a different test. So it'll be interesting. But I still think he might go with the same forwards and midfield, and I think maybe obviously the changes at fullback. I mean, I hope Trippier is fit because he as we've just been discussing, he makes a big difference to us. So we'll have to see.
Just looking at the league table, though, I mean, Villa, their last 3 games they've drawn 2 and won 1 of them. They drew with Leeds last night. And I don't know. Like they're clearly a better team than Everton, but they are beatable.
Oh, I think they're beatable. Oh, I don't doubt that for a moment. Whether we will beat them or not, of course, I'm not predicting that because I'm still not getting carried away. But I do think we the momentum is with us. There is a lot of more positives, and I think Chris Wood might even grab a goal because that's now 4 games he'll have had. When he plays against Villa. So I hope for his sake he does. I hope he gets one because he had a couple of chances on Tuesday night actually. Well, we haven't talked about the situation when Joe Linton smacked the he sort of tripped and hit the ball into his face on. That was just bizarre.
It's so frustrating, Joe Linton, because he does a lot of things well these days in that midfield position he plays, but whenever he's in the box, he still just can't get a good shot away, can he?
No,
he still seems to struggle with it. It's bizarre. I don't know what it is, but it was quite funny. Thankfully, it didn't matter. But
I think that comment on the screen there, that I think that's the thinking. That I think it'd be harsh on any of those players really for the second half performance. But take your point here in that actually until the goals in the first half. You could have made a case for any of them to be taken out of it, couldn't you? But I don't know. I still think I will maybe err on the side of caution a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think. I think there's more chance that he will play Bruno from the start than not. Something inside me just thinks he will. Yeah. But equally, if he still plays him on the bench.
So if he does play him, which one drops out?
Yeah, well, Connor's just making a good point here, actually, because, if Willock has... I mean, I don't know whether it's just cramp with Willock either, but, if Willock has been injured, then Bruno would obviously come in. So Willock would probably be the one you'd drop. But I don't know... Who would you drop? I don't know. You wouldn't drop Joe Linton.
You could make a quick case for Joe Linton to be dropped, could you?
You'd probably be looking at Shelvey.
Yeah, I don't know. Shelvey's been a mainstay of his midfield, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. We've got a bit of depth.
One nice to have choices, eh?
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to have a bit of strength in the squad. So, it's quite funny. Vintage Joe, that one. Yeah, I'd love for Joe Willock. I know that's Joe Linton you're talking about there. I'd love for Willock to actually just get a goal or something, just to boost his confidence a bit.
Yeah, I mean, he might go eight games in a row scoring a goal in the next 8 games.
Yeah. So Neil's saying, is anything happening with Dan Ashworth, director of football? I believe he's resigned, hasn't he, from Brighton?
He's resigned from Brighton, and they were talking on the other podcast I was listening to. They said that he's on garden leave with Brighton, and they're still discussing terms, not with Ashworth, but between the clubs.
So it's going to happen, isn't it?
It seems like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
They played a funny clip actually because they've said this is Newcastle's recruitment going to Brighton to find a player, and they're going, Dan, you. Dan. Dan. Everybody we signed from Brighton's got to be called Dan.
Was it the Alan Partridge clip? Was it the Alan Partridge clip where he's in the car park just shouting Dan?
Oh, is that where that's from? I don't know.
Was it Alan Partridge?
It didn't sound like Alan Partridge, to be fair, but it was just. But it might have been.
That would work perfectly.
Yeah.
There's a very funny bit in Alan Partridge where he's standing in the car park and he's just shouting Dan.
Well, that's maybe where it was from. I didn't hear it as that, but it could well have been.
It's very good. Yeah,
it was funny.
Yeah. So look at Brighton looking for compensation, which would obviously make sense. But I mean, I don't know much about the guy, to be fair. But he's apparently done
a good reputation, and certainly what I've been reading. But
I love Alan Partridge, like his class. So. It was Partridge. It was Alan Partridge in the car park. Someone needs to send me that because I've not seen it. I was just assuming that's what it was because that's the reference. Yeah, someone send me that on Twitter, please. That'd be good.
Newcastle's recruitment officer at Brighton.
Yeah, Dan, love it. It's just that I might go and watch Alan Partridge after this. It's fantastic. Okay, so the Villa game. If someone offered you a point now, are you taking it?
No. I'll take the 3.
Yeah?
I've got a feeling there might be a draw. I think the game might be a draw.
I think a draw would be a good result.
But I do think we're capable of winning. And I think with the crowd again, if we can win on Sunday, it would be such a statement.
Be massive
3 in a row, and it would have propelled us into to 21 points in the blink of an eye, really.
Yeah. So looking at these fixtures, so I made this graphic a few weeks ago before the Watford game. Obviously, we've now played 3 of those games. We've played Watford, we've played Leeds, we've played Everton. We've taken 7 points from those 3 games.
Yeah.
Can we go undefeated in the first 4? If we do, that's got to be seen as an absolutely massive positive.
I would like to think so. I mean, I certainly think the worst we can get on Sunday is a draw.
I'd be disappointed if we lose.
If
we lose on Sunday, I'll be disappointed.
Very disappointed. Yeah, but football is, as they say, a strange game. But I do think momentum is with us, and I do feel the feeling that is, we can get a result. Yeah. And actually, I was talking to Andrew about the West Ham, and West Ham are not great shakes at the minute. And they're struggling with injuries, and of course, they've got all this controversy going on with Zuma, haven't they? Which is not great. But they seem to be, their season is catching up with them in many ways. Because and we talked about this earlier in the season that I was talking to Andrew about it, like when teams like West Ham get into a Europa League, then they go well in the autumn, but come the spring it catches up, and maybe it may be a good time to play West Ham.
I think we might come to West Ham at a good point. Morgul's saying 3 points for Villa, 1 at West Ham. Again, if that happens, I would absolutely snap your hand off right now for that, because that would just be fantastic.
And that Brentford game's an interesting one there, wasn't it, as well?
Massive, actually. Yeah. This is what I'm saying about Brentford. Potentially we could, get closer to them. But I mean, we talked about those 7 games that are on the screen there before the Chelsea game, and God, imagine if we could go through that game with undefeated or just losing once. That would literally save our season. So I know it's all on paper and ifs and buts and that, but we're halfway through those games nearly, and
well, we've won 2 of the 3, haven't we? So that if we can get another win on Sunday, that would be 3 out of those 7 games, irrespective of then what happens.
Yeah, John's saying he'd take the 3 points. About time we can put together a few wins and make people take notice, and that's it. We need to show some intent and show people that we're not a pushover. And not only are we going to survive this season, but we're going to survive comfortably. And that what better way to say that message than by winning football matches?
Well, I think, like what you said earlier on, I mean, that second half performance was as good as we've seen for a long time, isn't it?
We need to replicate it.
And we were actually in control, and we did deserve to win the match, and probably more comfortably than we actually did in the end.
Yeah, Stephen saying better a point than nothing, but it's 3 points we need. It is wins that it's not losing is important, but it's the wins that save you at the end of the day.
Definitely.
Morgul, I've done Morgul's, haven't I? But 3 points for Villa, 1 point to West Ham. Yeah, I don't think the rearrange games have been passed yet, have they?
There's no doubt about the Crystal Palace game in the middle of March as well, because they're in the cup. I'm sure.
I don't know.
That could be not being played when it should be either.
Yeah. Blake is interesting because I've not actually looked at the other teams' fixtures. So apparently Norwich and Burnley have some very tough games. So beating Villa will be massive. So I don't know who Norwich and Burnley play at the weekend. Actually,
I think on Burnley playing. Well, they play Man United there. So is it Liverpool or somebody they're playing?
Let's have a look. We have got Brentford, Palace. Watford play Brighton.
Watford, Brighton, Norwich, Man City.
Everton, Leeds, and Burnley play Liverpool at home.
Yes. Yeah, I thought it was Liverpool.
Yeah. So Norwich and Burnley playing Liverpool and Man City. So you'd hope, I mean, again, you never know with football, but you'd hope that might be 2 defeats for those teams, fingers crossed. Apparently, Geordie says, evening Geordie, by the way, Palace game is in doubt because if Palace beat Stoke in the Cup, quarter-final weekend is the weekend we're supposed to play.
Yes. Yeah, there was some doubt. I know.
Doesn't it every season that's kind of, some people do lose a match if it gets to quarter-final stage. Stephen, I like this. No one should ever rely on the others around us to fail. This is true. It's in our hands. There's enough matches to take care of our own business. That's all we need.
We all do, though, don't we? We all
do. Of course we do. Yeah, it's part of being a fan. But because it helps you, doesn't it, if they lose? But we're not in a position where we are relying on all those teams to lose. We can.
Say last night when Norwich were in front, I'm thinking, we're back in the relegation area. And if they had that hung on, from what I've seen from the stats with Palace, at least the deserve was a draw, to be honest. I think it was basically. Yeah. Did you see it's a hard goal? I mean, he missed that penalty, but it was like the sublime in the ridiculous. His goal was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I kind of
it's a big game for Brentford and Palace. They play each other. It's a big game. Yeah. Morgul says 7 points in the next 3 games, and Brentford will be below us by then. All of a sudden, you're looking at a very different relegation mix-up. And really, as a Newcastle supporter, that's what we all want. That's what we all need. We don't want to be 4th bottom. I mean,
no, of course we don't.
We want to be 12th, 13th, 14th, and comfortable, and not even in. But by the time we play Burnley on the last day, I don't want us to be even near the relegation battle. I hope we're out of it.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Anyway, Jordy, again, this is worth just pointing out as well, Jordy, I agree with this. Only start worrying about the teams around us when there's a handful of matches remaining. But until then, we've got enough matches to get ourselves out of it. And that is spot on.
Good point.
That is spot on. Out of the mess, he says, and I agree. I totally agree with that. And that's how you've got to look at it. And actually, 16, 17 matches is a lot of football. There's a lot of matches to be played. A lot of things can happen. We could be clear. We could be dragged back into it. We could end this weekend back in the bottom 3. Nothing is impossible. So, just before we sign off, got a bit of a challenge for you. I won't mess it up this time. I did this last time, Dad, when you weren't on, and I
saw the replay of it. I saw what you did.
The answers away. I've got it right this time. Yeah. So this time, cast your mind back to not the start of this season against West Ham, but the start of the 2020-2021 season against West Ham when we played at the London Stadium. And this was the lineup. We won the game 2-0. And these are the three missing players from that team. So who was in goal?
Well, the keeper was the reserve keeper, wasn't it? What's his name?
Who was the fourth midfielder? Anyone have a guess in the comments? Evening, DJ Earth.
Oh, hello.
Nice of you to join us. How are you doing? Like you
Carl Darlow was in goal.
Tearing your hair out about Sunderland at the moment.
Was it Darlow in goal, Ian?
It was, yes.
Yeah.
You got 1 out of 3 so far.
Well, that's about as much as I get. Let's have a think. Who could be
Have
down?
a good
Richie?
think about it.
No,
not Richie.
You
can't just reel off players. You have to be.
Well, it was an educated guess. I wasn't just. I was, So when we think open day 2020, so
yeah,
with 2020-21 season.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 18 months ago, then, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done for working that out.
Well, I'm just make sure my timelines are right. It doesn't make any difference because I don't know who was up. Because Wilson had just started playing for us then, hadn't he?
Yeah, I think it was his debut.
Yeah. Joe Linton?
Not Joe Linton. Not Joe Linton.
Well, I could just start reeling off players, but because I don't know. Does anybody else guess them?
Yeah, Geordie's got it.
Has he?
Actually. Yeah, he's got all 3.
Well done, Geordie.
Think about who scored.
Oh, Hendrick.
Yeah. So Hendrick, he's not a right midfielder, but he played in that he was the 4th midfielder in that team, and he did sort of play on the right hand side, if I remember rightly.
Right, yeah.
DJ Earth says it is what it is, but like yourselves, you support through thick and thin. Great win for you lot. Yeah, thank you. It was a great win for us. Yeah, you do. I mean, fair play to. If you got to admire anyone who's sort of keeps going and watching a team after going through what Sunderland have gone through. To be fair,
it looks as though they've sorted a manager out, haven't you? Is it this guy who used to be Norwich's manager? Is it Alex Neil or Alec Neil?
Really? Oh, right. I've not heard anything.
I was watching Look North there on the sports thing, and I think because Roy Keane turned it down, didn't he? And then I think this Alec Neil was between him and the guy Grant McCann. They were the two that had interviewed.
Well, there you go.
Manager, and they're still in touch with the top few in that division. It's not,
they'll still make the playoffs at least.
So Hendricks, I don't know who the other one is.
So Geordie got it right. So it's Darlow, Hendrick, and Andy Carroll. Andy Carroll started that game
earlier. Yeah, Carroll.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'd have got that without looking, but yeah.
No,
I remembered that Hendrick had scored because Blakey said that.
Yeah, he did. I remember him scoring now. Yeah.
But yeah. So there you go.
Well done.
There you go.
Good work.
Very good. There'll be another one of them next time.
Great. Thank you.
Love.
At least I prefer them to the pixelated.
There you go. There you go. Right. Thank you everyone for joining us again.
Yeah, it's been good.
Been nice seeing some regular faces.
Comments, everyone. I'll go and review them all when I get off and see what you've all been saying.
And bring on Villa at the weekend, and fingers crossed we can get another 3 points.
Let's keep our fingers crossed, and may the momentum still be with us.
The feeling would be amazing if we can beat them.
It would. Bye.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thanks everyone.